And hello. So, excuse me, hear any dogs? You'll have to excuse me. I have four, and they're locked in. They're locked out of the front room, so they're frustrated because they can't look out the front door and bark. So you'll have to excuse me. Maxine, stop. Anyway, I want to welcome everybody to this webinar Zoom meeting for the fiscal year 2023. Hold on one second, everybody. All right. Here we go. I want to welcome everyone to the 2023 Local Arts Program webinar, Zoom meeting, whatever you want to call it. I see some familiar faces and I see some new faces, so welcome everyone. I just want to welcome you on behalf of County Executive Tom DeGeese, our Hudson County Board of County Commissioners, and Gina Hewlings, who's our director, who couldn't make it this evening, but she sends her best. And so I think I do see a whole bunch of new faces on here. I think what we'll do is we will review the guidelines, which you all, if you've gone on, I've sent to you probably 6 times. You can also get them on our website. And we'll go through the guidelines, then we'll go through some of the application. Just we're not going to go through the if you've applied for this grant before, you know that the Americans with Disability Act, there's an Americans with Disability Act ADA portion of the application, which is worth 15% of your application, and we're not going to go. It's even though it's only worth 15%, but it's quite there's quite a lot to it, and we have a separate webinar for that, which will be a week from tonight, next Wednesday. So hopefully you can make it. If you can't, we'll be taping it as well, and we're taping this one for folks who couldn't make it. Why don't we go around? Everyone, just go around quickly and just say your name, which is on the screen, and just tell me where you're from, or tell everybody where you're from. That would be great. So Anna, why don't you kick it off?
Hello, I am representing Cantigas Women's Choir, and we have been a recipient of the grant for a number of years, and we love it and value it as a guiding light on ADHD, that too, ADA compliance, and just generally connecting us with other, groups in town that, or in the county that also do great work, and, rah, rah, rah.
Welcome. Thanks, Anna. Good to see you. David, why don't you tell us what your affiliation is? Can't hear you. Still can't hear you. Judith, why don't you go ahead, Judith?
Hi, I'm Judith from Jersey City Ballet. And I think we've been at this now for maybe 5 or 6 years. So I'm happy again to have the opportunity to participate and hopefully get some support from Hudson County.
All right.
For 2023, we have some big things going on. It's our 10th year.
Awesome.
So we have some big
Congratulations.
Plans. Thank you.
McAdam, you're with the Arts Council, correct?
Yeah, with the Jersey City Arts Council. This is our first time applying for the grant, so we're excited. We haven't had the staff support before to be able to do it, so we're excited to have staff support to be able to do it. We're excited to be able to apply for the grant, and kind of learn more about for the program side, what kind of programs we can do, because we're not a creative programs. We do programming for arts organizations in the community.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, awesome. Welcome. Milka, is I saying it right? How you doing?
Yes, how are you, Joe? My name is Milka Dominguez, and I'm currently representing La Magia de las Bellas Artes for Nancy Sanchez. So Last year I did help her out with this application, and this year I'm going forward again.
Great.
Hoping that, we are able to go ahead and do an excellent job this year. Happy
Terrific.
guys, and thanks. Thank you
Yeah,
very
no,
much.
you're welcome. Thanks for doing the work. And Alfredo, how you doing?
Hello, how are you? Alfredo, I'm from Jersey City, and that's my first time. So I'm trying to learn how to apply for grants. We just created a not-for-profit, and we are doing some programs in the arts and performance for kids, especially in this area in Jersey City Heights. We have been doing it already in the past on our own with my wife on the side. We have a couple of restaurants, so we have been doing it on our own, but we thought to do it a little bit more structural and need to learn a little bit more about the whole not-for-profit world. Thank you for organizing.
Yeah, what's the name of your organization?
Hudson County Creates.
Okay, awesome. Well, congratulations.
Thank you, thank you.
And we got David, who is representing the Central Avenue SID, and his firm just took over management of it. So welcome, and welcome. It's good to see everybody here. Thank you for taking the time and making the effort. I appreciate it. So what I think I'll do is I'm going to share the screen, and we're just going to jump into the guidelines. So why don't we do this in terms of questions? If we'll go through the guidelines, we'll kind of like, basically going to be reading them, but I will expound on them. But what we can do is if you have questions regarding something particular that we're happen to be talking about, just feel free to just jump in. You can raise your hand, but I might not see it. So feel free just to like turn your mic on and just say, I have a question. If there's something we haven't covered yet, then we will, then you can save it for the end. And that's about it. We'll go through the guidelines, and we will, and I wrote up the wrong guidelines here, so I'm going to get the right ones. Give me 1 second. Let me just grab them. There we are. Okay. Let me get back here. This makes for compelling viewing, I'm sure. There we are. All right. So these are the guidelines. So for those of you who have been recipients of a LAP grant before, you know what these are. These are basically like the Bible to a successful application. Those of you who haven't applied for, these are like the Bible to the application. So they're pretty, they stay pretty similar every year, but there are some changes. So I think it's important to go through them. So we'll go through them, and like I said, if you have any questions, just jump in. So this is fiscal year 23. Our fiscal year runs on the same as the calendar year, which is different from the state, which runs on the January 1 to June 30 fiscal year. So the fiscal year for us starts on January 1. So the program year, you're applying now for programs that will start on January 1. And that is that. So funding for this program is we get funding from state, New Jersey State Council on the Arts. And we also get money from, unlike any other county, I believe, we get funding from the county executive and from the Board of County Commissioners. So next time you see any of those folks, you can thank them. They really do put their money where their mouth is. It's important to them, and they're very supportive of LAP. So I just wanted to make that be known. So the applications, they started on August 22nd. They went live on Submittable, which is our grants portal, and all applications have to be done online, as you probably know by now. And the deadline is Friday, September 30th, 2022. So just so you probably, if you have applied before, you know that this is a lot earlier than in years past. We just found it to be that we were like scrambling at the end of the year, which hold on, I'm going to let a few people in here. Hello, everybody. I am welcoming everybody who just jumped on. Olga, Rachel, I didn't see the third person. I apologize. Welcome. So yeah, so this year we decided to do it earlier. A lot of other counties do it earlier. So it just gives us more time to go through the applications, to get our peer review panel together. And as you may or may not know, the peer review panel is the group of people who are professionals in different disciplines of art that actually make the decisions with regard to they score the applications, and then we translate that into numbers, into dollars. So yes, so we're doing it much earlier this year. I hope it's not ruining anybody's summer, but it's just much better for us. Like I said, the programs go from January 1, 2023 to December 31, 2023. If you got my emails, you know where you can find the applications. If you go to our website, HutchinCountyCulturalAffairs.org, will take you to the application. Otherwise, you can go to Submittable itself. So this is a good thing to do for everyone to know. This is the second year we're doing this. I think you're probably all happy. So at the end of the application, there's a certification page, which just says, I certify that everything's true, blah, blah, blah. And you used to have to hand deliver the copy of our original certification page to our office, which was always tons of fun for you guys, tons of fun for me. So now you don't have to do that any longer. You can submit it. You actually submit it online. So that's a good thing. The goals of LAP are our office awards competitive matching grants organization based on merit and financial need, which clearly demonstrate to organizations that clearly demonstrate their commitment to the arts in Hudson County by producing or sponsoring arts programs and services of high artistic quality and professionalism. And you are expected to administer your grant responsibly and complete the grant within the grant period, which, as I said, is January 1 to December 31, and within the projected budget. So we have had occasions when people have not been able to finish for whatever reason, especially during COVID, have not been able to finish their grant within the calendar year. We can extend it to early in the following year, like January, like to the end of January, maybe February, but that's all on a individual basis. So hopefully you won't have to do that. If you do, you'll be in touch with me and we'll work it out. But it's meant to be done within the programs, or whatever you're doing they should be designed to be able to be done within the calendar year. Some people have done like multiple, programs that have like different, like part of it is in the first year, part of it's in the second year. So they've applied for one year, they applied for the grant, and the next year they're building on something, so they applied for it again. You can do that, but the discrete portion of the grant has to be finished within the calendar year, if that makes sense. Next up, priorities for funding, and these are important. If you can, special consideration are given to these things. So proposal of quality, innovation, and merit, they address the following priority issues: outreach to underserved communities, senior citizens, physically challenged folks, developmentally challenged, culturally diverse audiences, economically disadvantaged audiences. Like if you're doing programs for them, that will give you'll get I can't say extra credit, but you will definitely get special consideration. Supporting of the arts in northern and western Hudson County. The reason we do that, the reason we say that is because historically it's been mostly when we love Jersey City, Hoboken, Weehawken, but if you're probably aware that Hudson County has 12 municipalities, and so we encourage folks that don't normally apply, like folks from Harrison or East Newark or Secaucus, to get involved. So that's always a plus. Of course, we're happy with all our people who apply from Jersey City and Hoboken and all the other places, West Weehawken, North Bergen. We love all our towns. Special considerations give the promoting the growth of artists, arts organizations, and arts programs in Hudson County. It's kind of like a given, but it's in there. And expanding the influence of Hudson County artists to a broader sphere. So the more you can bring people in from other parts of the state, the better. Tends to be when we'll go through the different types of grants. There's 3 different types, but it tends to be the general operating support folks that have a broader audience, trying to appeal to more folks. But we'll get more into that. So tonight is the free how to apply webinar. We are in it right now. As I said, next Wednesday, the 12th or the 14th, I'm sorry, at 6 p.m. We will be doing the ADA webinar, and we'll record it for the folks that can't make it. I really recommend, if you haven't applied before, to try to make it, because it's just a different. It's just you might not be familiar with the ADA. It's the law that was created, signed into law by George H.W. Bush back in, I believe, in 1989 or 90, which gives equal rights to folks with disabilities. So we take it very seriously, and if you have not done this application before or want to learn more about ADA, I highly recommend that you join us next Wednesday. All right, so this is important. Eligibility. You have to meet all these criteria. You got to be based in Hudson County. You got to serve the residents of Hudson County. You need to have been in existence for at least 1 full year as of January 1, 2022. So you would be, if you started then, you would be like a year and a half old right now. Reason we do that is because we want folks to get up and running, get some stuff going, and have been a successful, been an organization that's been functioning for a little bit amount of time before you come to us for funding. This next one is important. You have to be incorporated in the state of New Jersey as a tax-exempt nonprofit organization, and you need to be approved and certified by the Internal Revenue Service under Section 501c3, which is a regular nonprofit. 501c4, which is social welfare organizations, and 501c6. 501c6 are like organizations like chambers of commerce, and some business improvement districts are C6s. So you need to be one of those in order to apply. We've had in the past where people who were in the process of applying were able to apply in the process of applying for their IRS nonprofit status. We allowed them to apply for a LAP grant, but it became problematic, especially because right now the IRS is woefully understaffed. So there's been a lot of delays in getting anything done with the IRS. So unfortunately, if you're not currently a 501c3, C4, or C6, then you can't apply. Then you need to wait until you are one of those things to apply. your organization needs to primarily exist primarily as an arts organization. So those are like, like Judith, you're the Jersey City Ballet Theater. That's an arts organization. And then you have Contiguous Women's Choir, Anna, that's your organization. Those are arts organizations. Then we have organizations who are, that sponsor arts programming, but aren't arts organizations, such as libraries, schools, community organizations, social service agencies. You can apply as well. And we invite you to, and we applaud you for doing so. As you'll see when we go forward, depending on what kind of organization you are, will dictate which type of grant you can apply for. That's then the last criteria is you have to match the grant award as specified below under categories, and we'll go through that. So who can apply? Arts organizations. Those are organizations whose primary mission is related to the artistic realm, i.e. visual arts, music, dance, theater, literature, etc. You can apply for general operating support, which is what's called GOS, which will support the general operations of your organization, and not a discrete program. They can also apply for program support, which is funds for a discrete program, like you have a series of ballets that you want to put on. That's a program, or you have a series of lectures or series of art shows or concerts. That is programming. And then the third one is technical assistance. That is, we'll go through what they are in more depth, but technical assistance is for the hiring of like a fundraising consultant, or going to a workshop to strengthen your board, things like that. But we'll go through it. There's more examples. So if you're a GOS organization, if you're a arts organization, you apply for any of those three. However, you need to discuss that with us first if you are going for GOS. And I guess I should probably put it in the guidelines for next year. But if you are a arts organization and this is the first time you're applying, then you would not be applying for GOS. GOS is for organizations that have a track record with us of doing program support grants and successfully completing the projects. Once we, if you have been a program support recipient and you're thinking about applying for a GOS grant, you should give us a holler. Give me a holler. Okay, non-arts organizations can only apply for program support. So I'll say it again: schools, hospitals, religious institutions, social service agencies, fraternal organizations, libraries, et cetera, they can only apply for program support. I should say that you can, GOS, or it's a little confusing, but if you apply for GOS, you can also apply for, if you're an arts organization, you can apply for GOS and program support. GOS and technical assistance, or program support and technical assistance, but you can't apply for both general operating support and program support in the same year. So you can apply for program support and technical assistance, or general operating support and technical assistance, but not program support and general operating support in the same year. I think that makes sense. It says it right here: applicants may apply for program support grant the same fiscal year as GOS folks. Organizations with several divisions and agencies may only submit one proposal. That kind of comes in more for municipalities. We do have quite a few that apply. Like your department, I don't need to spell it out, but basically, if you have several divisions, only one can apply. Schools at any level, public or private, or arts training programs or arts education program, or arts and education programs may not apply for LAP funds for general operating support, scholarships, tuition, school supplies, residencies, camps, lecture series, or any extracurricular activity that involves engages school programs, its students, and teachers or their spouses, relatives, children, or friends. That's a long way of saying if you're a school and you're applying for a program support grant, the programming has to be open to the general public. So you can do it in your school. You can have it at your school. You can have your school kids participate, but you need to have it open to the public, to other kids that are part of the general public. We do have another grant program called Arts and Education, which we've already done for this year. That is for schools, specifically for schools that are offering arts programming for their own students. And we can talk about that another time. If you have any questions, you can ask me about it. But the key is that you have all the programming, no matter if you're a school or whatever, an arts organization, has to be open to the public. All right. Any questions before we go forward? All right, we're going to talk about the different categories now.
Real quick.
Yeah, sure.
It's so much easier to hear you when your head is in the center of the screen. When you lean off to the side, your voice cuts in and out.
Okay, perfect. I will try to keep my head right in front of the screen. Okay, general operating support is the first category. The maximum amount is $17,000. If you've applied for this grant, you know that this is more. Used to be, I believe, $12,000, but we've bumped it up to $17,000, which is a nice, it's a nice chunk of change. Who may apply? Arts-only organizations, like we said. So if you're an arts organization, you can apply, but you need to discuss it with us first. Like I said, if you apply for GOS, even if you haven't applied for it before and haven't discussed it with us, we can reject your application. If you're thinking about it, you have a track record with us, and you want to apply for GOS, please give me a call. What can you do with general operating support funds? You can use them for general operating and programmatic costs, and up to 15% of the grant may be used towards administrative costs. So here's a part of the requirement. If you are a GOS, if you want to apply for GOS, you have to have at least one full-time paid staff administrator, a proven fundraising campaign, be fiscally responsible, and have an active board of directors or trustees involved in governance organization. And I probably should add, and I probably will for next year, you need to have been a recipient of a program support grant from us for, I'd say, at least 2 years, I would say. But I didn't put that in there, so now I'm saying it. Applicants must offer year-round programs. The GOS applicant must submit a schedule.
Joe, we can't hear you.
Okay, here I am. I'm closer now. I'm just going to try to tie my head to the computer. GOS applicants must submit a schedule of its board of directors and trustees meetings for FY21 and 22, as well as a letter from a recognized professional in the same discipline attesting to professionalism and artistic quality of your organization. The letter may not come from any individual connected with the organization. All applicants who apply in this category must compensate all artists involved in their programs. And so each grant has a different matching requirement. GOS applicants must match any grant award 1-to-1, and at least 25% of that match must be in cash. So if you get, let's say you get $15,000, you have to match that 100%, but 25% of that has to be in cash. The rest of it can be in kind. It can be 100% cash if you have it cash on hand like that, but at least 25% of it of the match must be in cash. Organizations that rely on membership dues or fees for more than 25% of their operating budgets are ineligible to apply for GOS category. So I think you could see a theme with this. With GOS, it's for more established organizations, clearly someone that you have a full-time employee, et cetera, like I just went through. So that's that. Program support. This is the most popular type of grant. Most of you will be applying for this type of grant. And program support is for a discrete program, as I said. Who may apply? Arts-only organizations and non-arts organizations. Agencies that sponsor arts programs as part of a broader range of community outreach activities such as schools, social service agencies, chambers of commerce, community development agencies, and libraries may apply in this category. What are eligible uses of funds? Programmatic costs, as I said, such as space rentals, advertising, artist fees, props, presenting specific arts program, arts exhibits, or series of related arts programming. Examples of programs include multidisciplinary performing arts series, cultural tourism themed art festivals, concert series, art photography exhibits, or outreach services to arts constituency, marketing materials that promote an event, series events, or an arts organization are also allowable expenses. So program support also has a matching requirement, but it's a little different than GOS. So you can apply for up to 50% or half of the total projected cost of your program support eligible program, up to a maximum of $12,000. So if your program is $14,000, then you could apply. You're supposed to ask for half of if your program is $14,000, then you would come to us for $7,000. If your program is $24,000, then you could ask us for $12,000. Pretty self-explanatory. So in terms of matching, you have to match, just like GOS, you have to match. It's a one-to-one match, but you can match your match can be in any combination of cash and or in-kind contributions. So so you can if you can match it. So if you're asking for $6,000, you would have to match $6,000. That could be $3,000 in cash and $3,000 in kind, or any combination thereof. I'm sure most of you know what in kind means, but in kind means contributions of things that you would normally have to pay for. So it's not for volunteer time. It's for things like, we got space donated for this performance, or our printing, someone picked up the cost of the printing, or someone does our accounting for, someone does our accounting for us for free. That can be, those are examples of in-kind contributions. Like I said, it's not for volunteers. It's for things that you would normally have to pay for, that you are getting for free. A restriction for program support: you cannot use the funds for administrative costs. So for program support, it is exactly what it says. It's a program support grant. It's to support a discrete program or programs. Like I said earlier, GOS applicants may not apply for program support and GOS in the same year. Priority consideration, in addition to the priorities for funding that I enumerated earlier, We encourage schools and non-arts organizations to use the program support grant as outreach service to collaborate with local artists, professional arts organizations, to bring the work of Hudson County and New Jersey artists and performers to the general public. So if you're collaborating, that's a great thing. We've had several, we've had it in the past where like a municipality collaborates with an organization or two organizations collaborate. It's a really nice thing. Like a good example is Speranza Theater Company, which is a really terrific organization that we funded. They, in the past, have collaborated with the Jersey City Cultural Affairs to do programming together. So that's an example of that. We'll go through the last the sources in kind. Do you have to know the source of the in kind when you're writing the grant, or just assure that the applicant will do that? No, you don't. I mean, the budget does enumerate like it does. I mean, yes and no. I mean, you don't. If you think you're going to get some, like we're going to, I know we're going to be able to get, we're able to get our programs printed for free, then you could put that in there. You don't have to name, you don't want to have to necessarily name who's giving you the free in-kind contribution, but it's probably, if you have it, it's a good thing to enumerate. Like you'll see in a little bit, there's the budget, and then there's a budget narrative, and I won't go into it right now, but if you have the answers, if you know who these people are, it's a good thing. The last type of grant is a technical assistance grant, and it's only for arts-only organizations, and it's the max you can request is $5,000. Who may apply? Arts-only organizations that clearly demonstrate a genuine need for assistance in nonprofit administrative development. So there are two types of technical assistance grants. There's a TA consultancy and TA seminar workshop. So a consultancy would be something like you would hire like a consultant. They're out there who would come in and work with the organization and advise it on different things. Like a lot of times it's fundraising. So they would come and they would work with your organization on an ongoing basis. The second type is a seminar or workshop, pretty self-explanatory, but there are a plethora of workshops and seminars out there for nonprofits, and you can apply to attend one of those as part of the technical assistance grant. Training provided by qualified professionals or organizations that will strengthen professional nonprofit administration arts organizations, including strategic planning, staff grant writing development, fundraising development, board development, artistic related consultancies, guest artist programs, items such as lighting, sound, costume, or set design, and choreography are not eligible for technical assistance grants. So technical means like, it doesn't mean like technical like lighting or sound. It means something that's going to help your organization be a better organization. TA grants do not require a match. In your narrative, you must explain how the training will be conducted, items to consider, whether the training will be held at a reputable nonprofit support center or will a consultant be brought in. Your narrative has to clearly state what the training goals are and how they will be achieved, and the dates the services will begin and end, and how long each session will last. If you're bringing in a consultant, if you're applying for a TA consultancy, you must submit the professional qualifications of the consultant, references, and a letter of intent or scope of services, including the breakdown of cost of services. if you are applying for a workshop or seminar, you need to provide a description of the courses or seminars offered. An evaluation of the training or consultancy must be provided in a final report at the end of the grant term. All expenses that are reimbursable through this grant must be backed up with actual receipts. We'll talk about the final report later, but that's pretty much that. Any technical assistance application does not include a consultant's letter of intent will be automatically rejected. Travel mileage is limited to state of New Jersey rate of reimbursement, which is, I don't know what it is right now, but you can easily find it online. Air travel and hotel costs are not eligible expenses so you can't bring in somebody from the outside and fly them in and put them up in the Hyatt in downtown Jersey City. If they're driving, you can reimburse them for gas. Technical assistance proposals that request the services of current or past employees, past or present board members, relatives, friends, or associates, regardless of professional expertise, will not be considered. So can't just get, cousin Jed, who happens to be an expert in organizational finance. I'm sure he knows a lot about it, but you need to go find somebody else. All right. Any questions about the three categories before we move on to ineligible projects and expenses? Okay, so we briefly went through each type and kind of what you can do with the grants. This is a list of things you can't do with the grants. So you can't, unless you're a GOS applicant, you cannot use your grant for administrative salaries. You can't use a LAP grant for hospitality and food costs. You cannot use it for airline travel and hotel expenses. You cannot use a LAP grant for capital improvements, such as renovation or construction. As I go through this, I think you'll get the gist, is that, like I said, for GOS, it's running your organization and or programmatic expenses. For program support, it's for programming. So I think you're getting the theme. Like capital improvements, they're great, but they're also expensive. So you can't, if you need a new fix your stairway, or you need to put a new bathroom in if you're lucky enough to have your own place where you do your programming, like you can't use funds for that. You cannot purchase equipment, phones, computers, televisions, lighting, dimmer boards, cameras, etc. I used to have faxes in here, but I took it out for FY23. I figured, I don't know when too many people are buying faxes these days, but if you were thinking about it, lo and behold, you can't use LAP funds to buy a fax machine. Projects that are for the curricular, extracurricular activities of school, we already covered that. Field trips are not eligible. Presenting performances, exhibits, or productions outside Hudson County, that's pretty self-explanatory. This is the Hudson County LAP program, and we want you to present programming to the folks in Hudson County. You cannot use LAP. You cannot use LAP funds for offsetting institutional organizational budget deficits. You cannot use it as collateral to obtain a loan. You cannot use it as funds to lend to other organizations. You cannot use a LAP grant if your programming sole emphasis is to motivate religious, sectarian, social welfare, or health education. You can address those things, but it can't be your sole emphasis. You cannot use the funds to acquire works of art, antiques, or ephemera. You cannot use LAP funds for the restoration of statuary, historic property, etc. Parades, fashion shows, religious feasts or plays, food festivals, antique shows are a no-no. Fundraising activities or related fundraising costs, cannot use LAP funds for that. You cannot use LAP funds for cash prizes, trophies, scholarships, tuition, or for personal gain in any manner. I think those are all pretty commonsensical. We're going to skip over ADA and we're going to go over it next week. Any questions about that, about what you can use a LAP grant for before we move forward? Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Thank you. All right. Important application pointers. Read the guidelines carefully in their entirety. Even if you're on this call tonight, I would encourage you to read through them carefully. If you have any questions about them when you're going through it, please feel free to either send me an email or give me a call. As with all other grant programs, the grants are awarded to support and acknowledge meritorious proposal. They are not perceived to be, or nor they attempt to be the sole source of funding to create, plan, or facilitate a project. So that's why the matching, that's why there's a matching requirement. The program is highly competitive. A successful application will have articulated the standards enumerated in the evaluation of proposals criteria throughout its application. Also keep in mind the priorities for funding. And we'll go through the evaluation of proposals in a little bit. When composing your narrative, please consider the need, your mission consider the need your mission or project is addressing in Hudson County. Cite relevant information, present supporting facts for stated assumptions, use clear, understandable language. Say what you got to say, but you know, there are limits. There are limits to how much character limits. You can use them all, but if you can say it in less characters, that's always a good thing. But you know, clear and concise is the best. Keep in mind that the peer review panel folks are reading through probably 35 applications, so it's definitely it's quite an undertaking. So keep that in mind when you're writing your applications. When calculating your budget, please remember to include all in-kind donations at their estimated dollar amount. This includes all hours worked by volunteers in a professional capacity, either artistic or operational. So like I said, accountants' volunteer hours, multiplied by the professional hourly fee, rent amount covered by donated space, cost of donated supplies and services. These are included in the matching funds to be acquired by your organization. Please remember to complete the in-kind budget chart in the application package. So you'll see the budget when you'll see it in the application, and I'll show it to you in a little bit when we go through it. Please consider your organization's method of documenting its impact on geographical areas and underserved communities. If this is a new effort, please indicate so in your plan in the narrative portion of the application. Simple methods of such documentation are quick questionnaires and/or sign-in sheets that request the zip code of your participants and audience members. So we kind of, to the best of your ability, we want to know who's accessing your programming. And when you do your final report at the end of the year, or more like the beginning of the next year, you know, we'll ask you some questions about that. But the more information you have on who is accessing your programming, the better. You know, it's not always an easy thing to do, but we ask that you make your best effort to do so. All right. Evaluation plays a critical role in success of a project or organization. Please pay attention to the efforts your organization made to evaluate its programs and services. Evaluation and geographic impact data may be obtained together using an array of techniques. This is kind of building on what I just said previously. Please consider questionnaires, comment sheets, and statistical information when determining your evaluation plan. All right, we are gonna talk about the application now. Any questions about anything I just before we talk about the application. All right, we're going to talk about the application. We're not going to go through every question, but we're going to go through the most important parts of the application, namely the narrative. That is the beef of your, it's going to be really the beef, the crux of your, your main part of your score is going to come from your narrative, because it really gives you an opportunity to tell about your organization and or your program. And the narrative will constitute an overview of our organization, including its mission, targeted audience, history, governance, administration, planning and artistic distinction, i.e. what sets your group apart from others. Each category, GOS, PS, and TA, has its own narrative, and the guideline parameters for each are here. So the GOS narrative parameters discuss the qualifications of your full-time and part-time staff and artistic personnel, including their longevity, present an overview of the board of directors, including longevity of each member, titles, et cetera, how long board members are cultivated, how board members are cultivated and how they're chosen to serve. Explain in detail the process used to develop and choose your organization's programming, who makes the final decisions. Indicate how artists with special needs are considered for inclusion. State what measurable tools are employed to evaluate the artistic excellence and audience participation in all programs. Discuss your organization's long-term plan, a long-range plan with goals to be achieved, and elaborate on the time frame and current status of that plan. Illustrate how your organization's programs address the priorities for funding, which we went over earlier, and tell how your organization measures greater diversity in its audience and how it develops programming to respond to that diversity. So if you're applying for GOS, when you're doing your narrative, you should definitely go to page 9 and use these guidelines when you're writing your narrative. Program support, narrative parameters. Like I said, most of you are going to be applying for the program support grant, so this is important. Explain in detail your organization's programming for which you're seeking funding. Indicate how artists with special needs are considered for inclusion in your programming. State what measurable tools are employed to evaluate the artistic excellence and audience participation in your programming. And illustrate how your organization's programming addresses the priorities for funding, as we talked about. Tell how your organization measures greater diversity in its audience and how it develops programs to respond to that diversity. And detail the artists, performers, instructors from Hudson County that will be participating in your project. So what you really want to do with your program support narrative is you really want to talk about your program, keeping in mind all the things that I just mentioned. So this is your opportunity to say, this is what the program is, and this is why we're asking for funding for it.
Joe, can I ask a question about that really quickly?
Yeah, sure.
Just about the detail, the artist performers. If since we're working for next year's, we're writing about next year's funding for programs for next year, could we use potentially, if we don't know the artists that will be involved, could we potentially use artists involved in a previous year's version of that program as an example of the types of artists?
Yeah. I mean, it depends on what program what you're doing. Like if it's very specific, and you're able to, like, we want to have we have a concert series. You might be able to name some of the, you might not be able to name all the people that you have for your concert, that you're in your concert series, but you may have some of them. Yeah, as much detail as you can give. And like you said, we've done this program in the past. We've used
examples of previous artists.
Yeah, Joe Johnson was our artist. And Jane Doe was our artist. You could use those as examples. Really, you just want to be we understand that you might not be able to give every detail of your program, but you really, I mean, you should be able to give as much detail as possible. I wouldn't make it bare bones. Most applicants are able to describe their program pretty well and what they're looking to do in their narrative.
All right, thanks.
Yep. No problem. Did I go over TA? No, I did not. So TA narrative parameters describe what kind of describe detail what kind of technical assistance is needed and why. Cite specific problems or situations to justify your request. So hey, listen, we really need help with fundraising. That's why we're engaging a fundraising consultant. Or, we really need new board members. We've had the same board members for 12 years, and we need some new board members. Talk about those specifics in your narrative. Detail your organization's genuine need for the services allowed under the grant category, and describe how the TA grant will sustain your organization long term. There's no like I said, there's no matching requirement for TA, but if you're seeking funds from other sources, you should identify them. All right, so that's the different, that's the narratives. So now we're gonna talk about the budget and the budget narrative. So in order to, the budget is the budget summary. It's like it's a budget, you actually fill in the numbers. Those of you who have applied for numerous years know that in the past, doing the budget wasn't that much fun. But I'm happy to tell you that the budget for FY23 and for this past year, everything adds up itself. So the only number that you'll be asked to put in besides the numbers that you populate, for the expenses and for your income, you'll need to put in how much you're asking for in your grant, in the grant. You'll see very clearly it says you must put in the amount here. So everything adds up. It's beautiful, and it'll make your life a lot better than it was before. So that's the budget. The budget narrative is, I say it's kind of like, it's a summary. It's a summary of your income and expenses, but it allows you to discuss the foundation of the line items of your budget in greater detail. I always say this every year. It allows you to put some meat on the bones of your budget, so to speak. So it allows you to describe. It allows you to describe your budget in more detail. If you have things if you have a lot of others, like there are opportunities to put other in. There's other lines in the budgets, but unfortunately, there's not opportunities to write in what the others are. So if you have a lot of other expenses, then this would be the place where you would describe what the other expenses are. So it's really just to flesh out. It is important. Like some organizations just basically regurgitate the numbers, and I mean that's really, it's not what we're looking for. It's not what the peer reviewers are looking for. They're looking for you to put a little more oomph into it, to say like this is, to be more specific than you can with numbers. So that's important. You need to do both. The budget, you can't do one and not do the other. You have to do the budget narrative and the budget summary, which is the budget sheet. So I told you what the budget narrative, the LAP budget is the actual accounting of your organization finances. That's GOS is your organization's finance, or the expenses associated with your project. That's program support. Should say project support there. Or the expenses associated with your consultant or workshop, and that's the technical assistance budget. It's important to be as specific and accurate as possible. Just so we'll go through this when I show you the application, but those of you who have applied know this. Those of you who probably don't. The way that our application is set up is there's a series. It's branched, so you'll only receive the questions and the budget for the kind of grant that you are applying for. So if you're applying for GOS, you'll just get the GOS questions and budget. If you're applying for program support, you'll just get the program support questions and budget. If you're applying for technical assistance, you'll only get that. So if you're applying for both GOS and TA, you'll get both GOS and TA questions and budget. Same thing with PS and TA. So it's very specific. Things won't pop up that don't apply to you, which is a nice thing. Evaluation of proposals. After all the proposals have been reviewed by our staff for eligibility and guideline compliance, then they are evaluated by independent panel of peer professionals in the arts realm. I talked about this earlier. They're chosen for their expertise in a particular discipline and for their overall ability to critique their merits of proposals in a fair and insightful manner. They review and score each proposal based on criteria that includes the following. So these are the criteria that the peer review panel takes into consideration when reviewing your application. Professional credibility of your applicant, the merit and financial need of the project or your organization, the artistic excellence of past and present projects, the applicant serving the needs of its constituency by the funds requested in this proposal, the applicant's demonstration of community support, the applicant's presentation of a true and fully enumerated budget for all expenses, the applicant's demonstration of a process for evaluating projects, presentation of clear and relevant answers to all questions. For technical assistance, demonstration of a genuine need for the services allowed. I said that earlier. Yes, you can tell when someone's request is really flimsy. I'll just say that. But most, by and large, the people who apply for technical assistance, they need it and they demonstrate that they need it. The applicant's demonstration of appropriate use of the requested funds, the applicant's address of any of the priorities for funding, which we keep talking about, submission of a complete application, and presenting a barrier-free, content accessible program. And that goes to the ADA. And we won't, like I said, we're going to go through it next week, but I will say, just right now is, we know that not everyone is fortunate enough to have their own place to present their programming. So you're presenting it at a church this week, or you're presenting at a school next week. So we know that you are somewhat at the mercy of it. We know that space is a big issue in Hudson County. So we know that it's that your places where you're going to present your program are not perfect, and we're aware of that. So it's really just talking about, and we'll talk more about this next week. But it's to the extent you need to make your best effort to make your programming barrier-free and content accessible. A lot of different ways to do that, not just through assistive listening devices, braille programs, large print programs, descriptive audio, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not going to get into it. That's really to take up a whole thing with that, but that's what that's. I just want to give you a taste of what I'm talking about. A consensus critique is developed by the peer review panel at its group meeting. Our staff, meaning myself and anybody else from our staff, we do not participate in deliberations, so I have no say over what you get, but we're there to facilitate the process in a timely and orderly manner. And, we try to, we make our best effort to push people in the right direction, but we don't have any, we have no say over it. Just to, so there's no appearance of favoritism or impropriety or anything else. The panel's consensus critique is its collective impression and professional evaluation of the proposal based on the information provided, answers to questions, support materials, narrative, and overall application presentation submitted by an applicant. The intent of the critique is to provide constructive feedback on the merits of the proposal and the applicant's organization. Consensus critiques are sent to all applicants for grant award recommendation. So we have a stenographer who takes down word for word everything that's said during the peer review panel meeting, and I get a transcript of it. So when you get your letter, your award letter, I attach a page of comments, good and bad, constructive criticism and things that you did well. And it's really just to help you do a better job in the following year if you apply. Grant award or grievance procedure. Let's go through it quickly. You can't appeal your grant award on the basis of disagreement an applicant may not appeal its grant award on the basis of disagreement with the consensus critique of a proposal, may not appeal its grant award if any part of its proposal contains ineligible expenses or requests that are not allowable under the guidelines. You may not appeal your grant based on outdated guidelines published in prior years. So yeah, make sure you are using this year's guidelines when you're writing the application.
I have
yeah,
a quick question about,
yeah.
So Cantigas is looking to hire our first administrative human.
Yeah.
Woo! Which is super exciting. But so in the past, we've applied for program support. And I assume that having an administrative human does not.
Yeah, it
We
does.
don't have to do that. We can still apply for program support.
Yes.
Okay, we just can't apply where we can't apply for money to pay that person.
Yeah, no, because so it's a little bit of a chicken and egg proposition. So once you onboard that person, you have them on there, then you could apply for general operating support in a subsequent year, and you could use general operating support funds to offset to defray some of the costs associated with your employee. So does that make sense to you?
It does.
Yeah. So
I might sidebar with you later on that.
that's fine. That's fine. Feel free to give me a holler.
Okay.
You guys, my cell phone is on all my emails. If you can't reach me in the office, you can reach me on the cell. Just don't abuse the privilege. Don't call me like early in the morning or super late at night, but I'm happy to take your calls. I just find it easier if you have questions to be able to get a hold of me than playing phone tag and whatever. So if you do have questions, feel free to give me a holler. And I will say this, and it's on the first page of the application. If you have questions about the application questions themselves, call me. If for some reason you're having a technical issue with the application, I really invite you to get in touch with Submittable. Get through the URL is right there. There's also a help button in the application itself, and I strongly invite you to get in touch with them. I build the application, and it is glitch proof. I've tested it 9 ways to Sunday, but occasionally there are little problems. If there are problems that people have, and it's better if you can ask me, but I'm going to tell you generally to get in touch with Submittable, and they're good. We'll get in touch with you within 24 hours. And if you have a problem, then by all means, give me a holler. Like I said, technical, go to them. Questions about the application, come to me.
I have another question.
Sure.
I know that the ADA stuff is for next week, but I haven't been able to find the chart.
The chart is there's a link in the application to the chart.
Where in the application? Because the last time I did not see it there.
Yeah, we'll go through it. I'll show you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Now you're making me nervous, but I think you asked me that the other day, and I looked and made sure it was there. So I'm pretty. If it's not, it will be there first in the morning, but I'm 99% sure it is there. Let's just go to the end of this. Okay. Yeah, all right. So I think we're pretty much, this is all ADA stuff. Oh, well, here, okay. Announcement of awards. LAP grants, LAP grant awards are announced by letter. If awarded, a grant applicant will receive a first payment of 75% of its total award in the first quarter of the new fiscal year. So I'll tell you how it works, and it says it right here. So generally we'll send you, hopefully it'll be earlier this year. It will definitely be earlier this year. So you'll be getting your letters, your award letters before the end of the year, which will be really good because we'll be able to get the money out faster. So it's broken down into 3 payments. The first 75% of the of state funds. So it's broken down into two pots of funds. State funds we get from New Jersey State Council on the Arts, like I said, and then funds that are appropriated by the County of Hudson. So we send you your contract. Soon as you get your contract and voucher signed for the first 75% back to us, then you're eligible to receive your first payment. You will not, I have had, it's kind of crazy, but I've had applicants or grantees who have like not given me their, like they'll wait till the summertime to send me back their signed contract and their first payment voucher. And in the past, we've let it fly, and we've let the money go out before you got your contract, but that's no longer. We cannot. Our legal department has said no funds go out without contract. So I just urge you, when you get your award letter and your contract, fill it out. It's just a bunch of signatures. Read through it, sign it, and get it back to us. I will say another good thing that's new in the last couple of years, you no longer have to send us hard copies of your contracts and vouchers. You can email them to me, which saves you a lot of work. It saves me a lot of work. As much as I love seeing you guys, if you drop them off or mail them to us, supporting the U.S. Postal Service, that's great. But you don't have to do that anymore. You can just email this stuff to me. So once I receive once we get your signed contract and your first voucher, signed voucher, and a numbered invoice, I say numbered invoice, I'll say it again, then your first 75% payment will go out of state funds. The second amount of money comes out. So that's the county funds, and there's an asterisk next to that if you're looking at the guidelines with me, and that is because the budget. So the budget, even though we go on the same calendar year as we are on a calendar year, fiscal year is the same thing as a calendar year. The county doesn't ratify its budget until June. So so we don't know. We put in the request for, like we've already put in a request for support for LAP to the county commissioners. We've already put it in, but we don't know until June if we're getting that money. That's what the asterisk is. So since we've been doing this, I think it's been like the 5th year. It's the 5th or 6th year that the county commissioners and the county executive are generously giving us funds for the program. But we don't know for sure. We can't say with 100% certainty that money is going to be available. That's why there's an asterisk. But but we've never had an instance where the funds haven't come through. So I want to say it's pretty certain. But like if there's a giant tsunami or something wipes out Jersey City or something like that, funds might have to get reallocated for another purpose. It's never happened. So just the asterisk is a CYA. So yeah, once the budget is passed by the Hudson County Board of Commissioners, signed by the county executive, you'll know exactly how much you can expect to receive. So when we send you your letter, your award letter, it breaks down how much you get. It gives you the total amount that you're getting. And then it breaks it down by how much in county funds and how much in state funds. And then we also break it down, and you're going to, so 75% of you're getting this amount, then you're going to get 100% of the count of the state of the county funds. I'm sorry. And then the final 25% is after the receipt of the final report, final payment vouchers. And the way it's been going, we've been doing the final reports, like having them due like in the middle of January. I try not to make the reports too onerous. I'm probably going to revise it for this year. Hopefully make it, I don't think it's too onerous. I don't think it's too much. But we're always trying to make it better. So there might be some new twist to it this year, but it will not be any more onerous than it's been. So once we get your final, report, then we will release the final 25%. Yeah, final report. Everybody, all GS, PS, and TA grant recipients will submit a final report at a date designated by our staff. You must appeal to the proposal approved in the original application. If any changes are made to the proposal, you must notify us in writing in advance of the program start date for approval. So this is something that really happened a lot during COVID. You know, a lot of in-person programming was converted over to online programming or to something that was different, but in the spirit of what your proposal was. So I mean, it's not unprecedented that people are not unable to do their project for some reasons, like the person that they had who was going to is unavailable all of a sudden. The person is going to present this concert. You have one big concert that you're using the money for. So all we ask is that you contact us if your program is going to change from what you had in the application, that you just give me a call, and then I'll probably just ask you to send me an email enumerating what the changes are. And we generally, unless it's something that's crazy, we've pretty much always grant your request to change the programming. So like I said, you have to keep records of number of people who are served, and including number of underserved residents, blah, blah, blah. So like I said, you need to do the best you can, keeping track of who's accessing programming. We do ask questions about it in the final report. Keep receipts. You'll need to submit them with your final report. You must provide all materials pertaining to categories requested in the guidelines, and all GOS and PS grant recipients must provide at least 2 digital photos documenting the funded program with their final reports. They can be attached to the electronic application. These photos are required by the New Jersey State Council on the Arts, and they may be used for promotional purposes or in its annual report. All right, that's everything except for the ADA stuff. Let me get back here. Let me go back to the application. How do I get back here? Where the hell? Can you guys hear me? Hi, everybody. All right. Thank you. So that is the guideline. So I figured if you have any questions about any of that stuff, you can ask it now, and then we'll look at the application. Any questions up to now? No. Yes, Anna.
Always with the questions.
It's okay.
So as our choir plans our year, we're a September to June year. So we end up sort of applying for half of the previous, or half of the year we're about to have, and half of the year we haven't started yet when we apply. And often our fall program is not even close to being planned, like in any real way, especially at this point, like we're just finalizing this fall, let alone next fall.
Right.
And so often what actually happens in the coming fall is not exactly what happened in the program
Mhm.
or what was put forth in the application. I mean,
right.
aspirational, but do you really want to know all the like details
I mean,
about that difference, or like
I mean,
we will
it's a,
still have
it's
a program that
yeah, it's,
brings people?
I mean, if you're radically, like, I don't want to know if you're like changing out, like, we're doing, we're changing out something minor. That's, I don't really want to know about that. It's really for major, like, we're totally doing something different. We weren't able to do with we weren't able to do the programming that we sent our application in for, and this is what we want to do now. It's more for that. Like, I don't want to.
Like if we went from in person to online,
Yeah,
that level
yeah,
of shift. But
that's
like
pretty big.
repertoire change doesn't matter so much.
Yeah, not so much. I mean, we give you guys a lot of leeway, and I don't want to be in anybody's stuff. The most important thing is that you're doing the program. That you're doing the programming, or running your organization. It's really the most important thing. I mean, a lot of this stuff is like stuff that, frankly, the state requires, and if it was up to me, it would be a lot different, but it's not. So, with that, let's look at the application itself. I got to get it up. Give me 1 second. Thought I had it up. I appreciate you guys all hanging in here. Forms. Okay. Great. Okay. Where the heck is it? Trying to share it. There we go. All right. This is what the application looks like. This is all like the housekeeping stuff I told you about help, and yeah, Mozilla Firefox, Google Chrome, or Apple Safari are the best three browsers. If you use another browser, you might have some problems. You might encounter some problems. So I advise you use either any of those three. Read the guidelines. Your application will auto save as you fill it out, which is a good thing. Any of you who have used were applied in the past, our rest in peace, our former portal Zoom. It was a very nice portal. People were very nice who ran it, but it was not up to our snuff, not up to our specifications. We're using Submittable now. I think it's pretty good. There is a question in the application at the end. We ask you for feedback. We really like if you. I'm saying this because most people just say, "Oh, it's great," blah blah blah. If you guys could give us some like constructive criticism, or if you really do like it, like specific things about what you like about the application or what you don't like about the application, we'd really appreciate it. I want to make it. We want to make it better. If you think something's duplicative or a pain in the ass that you shouldn't have to do, please tell us. So there's an opportunity to do that in the application.
I have a real quick question.
Yeah.
Again, so at the previous portal that we used, you could download a PDF of your application. It gave all the answers and all the numbers and all the whatnot. And I feel like that was not available last year.
It's available. It's that is one of the things that's not as good. What I would say is to everyone, I advise this anyway, do your applications in Word.
Oh, yeah, we do all of our writing and all of our.
Yeah, and then take it and cut and paste it
offline.
into the, yeah.
Okay.
That way,
I
if
was
there's
just
ever,
checking to see if that was like something that.
no, I'll
turn
follow
on.
up. It's not one of my favorite things about this portal that holding onto your application is not one of my favorite things that this thing does. It's great in a lot of other ways, but it's not great in that way. You can do it, but it's actually printing it out is more problematic. It prints in a weird way, but this is something we're working on. We have a whole, we give them plenty of constructive criticism. So we're hopeful that they have made some changes that we recommended. So we're hopeful that in the future they will continue to. I'll test it out tomorrow and see how it is. It's definitely, it's not the greatest. It's not the greatest, I'll be honest with you, but you can save it. So there is an initial form. I'm not going to go through it. That just asks you for your EIN number, what kind of organization you are. And once you enter that stuff in, it'll bring you to this. If you don't have like a valid EIN number, it's not going to let you in. So you got to be, you need to be, you need that. So the first thing is the organizational profile. Ask you about your organization, name, the name of your application, person completing it, blah, blah, blah. Your address, we have a thing in here so I'll show you. So if you're legal, we had this problem in the past. If your mailing address is different than your legal address, which some of it's true for you, then there's always a problem with getting checks. Then you hit yes like that, and it'll bring up it'll give you the ability to put in a new address, your mailing address, which is a good, nice thing. So leader of the organization, email, title. So this is the question from which everything is branched. So it asks you, what kind of organization type are you? So that's going to determine what kind of grant you can apply for. So if you're a Hamilton County based arts organization, you click that. First thing it does is ask you for you attach your nonprofit incorporation. You attach your 501c3 or 6 designation letter and your W-9. So we need all those to pay you. In the past, we we ask you for it up front because then I don't have to track you down when it's time to pay you. It makes life much easier for you and much easier for me. And you have an access to an IRS form W-9 if you need it. So this question, focus of your organization. This is a question for GOS, and so that's only going to come up for that category. Please describe the focus of your organization. Summarize essential programs. So this is 1,500. 1,500 characters is like a half a page, single spaced. So I think we're pretty good with the character limits. I don't think we cut anybody short. So then since you're a you click that you're a GOS applicant, you can apply for general operating support, you can apply for program support, you can apply for technical assistance, either one of those. And then you can apply for, this tells you what you can apply for too, GOS and TA, GOS and TASW, program support and TA, program support and TA. So these are all the different kinds you can apply for. So let's go back up here, and I'm going to say what kind of organization you're. Let's say you're a community organization. You're applying. So I've asked you for all that stuff. So this question is asking you for the focus of your non-arts organization instead of your arts organization. And then this is then, so it branched, saying what kind of grant are you applying for? You can apply for program support. Why the hell is it not saying technical assistance though? Yeah. So it should say, I don't know why it's not right now, but it should say that you're applying for, you can apply for a program support and a technical assistance grant. I don't know why it's not doing that. So it's definitely something I have to figure out in the morning. I apologize. I know, excuse me for 1 second. So let's say you're applying for program support. You would click there, and then all the questions regarding program support come up. So this the first question is so we didn't go through all the questions. All the questions are not discussed in the guidelines, but the narrative is so purpose, what the program, project, or initiative will help fund. The narrative we talked about, refer to the parameters. There's a question about fundraising and income development, earned income development, outreach, marketing.
I have a question about marketing.
Yeah.
Do you guys weight differently if there's engagement on social media platforms and our own email versus traditional media outlets like, newspapers and things like that?
Yeah, no, at all. I mean, obviously, not as, social media is huge. So, I mean, yeah, we encourage you.
We're kind of trying to phase out our traditional media,
Yeah,
like newspaper connections, because they just don't seem to bring us any. It doesn't bring us anything really in the end. Our social media is much more effective. So as long as we're not being like penalized for not using traditional media.
Right. No, not at all. No, we encourage it. No, we totally encourage it. It's the way to go. Yeah, we've cut down on our newspaper advertising and things like that a lot. I do still get the New Jersey Journal, but I'm not the only person I know that gets it. So I understand. No, yeah, no, we encourage social media for sure. I really don't understand why technical assistance isn't showing up, and I apologize for that. So your marketing, and then you have there's then the ADA section, which there's quite a bit here, so we're not going to go through it right now. It's quite extensive, but we ask you.
But is the chart there?
Oh, the chart.
Sorry.
No, I appreciate it. Why isn't the chart? Where's the chart? Oh wait, I think it might be here. Wow. I think you might be right. I thought, I swear to God, I think you might be right.
Could you post it on the website, just like you have the
yeah, absolutely. I don't know.
That stuff?
Yeah, I apologize.
That's okay.
Yeah, no. We'll post it on, we will put it up on there will be a link in here, and there will also be on the website.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry guys, I really apologize. I don't know, I did go through all this, so I don't know why it's doing this, but so yeah, it has a series of questions, and so you answer the question, and then there's the ADA chart, which kind of talks about a lot of these things, and you're charting out for the next 3 years, what your plans are in terms of accommodating people with disabilities. So, but we're going to go over it next week, and if you can't make it, then you'll be able to watch the the video. And then we have the budget narrative. in narrative, this is the narrative. In narrative form, please provide a summary of the income and expenses of your proposed project. The FY23 LAP grant fund. Note the donated in-kind services should be included in your budget. You'll be required to detail the line items later in the application, and it's advisable to keep your budget on hand when filling out this portion. Both are required for consideration. So then here's the budget. So you just basically fill in stuff and it populates. So you see there 448. So yeah, so the budget's pretty self-explanatory, but you know, expenses. So there's both expenses and what's the word I'm looking for? Not profit. I'll go down and just look at it. Income. So we're asking you there's earned income, which is income like from ticket sales, or you know, you sell books, like you have publications you put out, or you have a fundraising drive, or wherever it may be. That's in kind. I mean, that is earned income. And then in-kind income is what I described. That's things you get that are provided for free. These are things that you would normally have to pay for. So it's asking you for both types of income in here. And then it all adds up. And then, like I said, this is what you have to enter manually, your grant request. The rest, otherwise, it all adds up. And then there's a series of documents that you need to provide. Your mission statement. Don't know why it's there twice. Jesus. Resumes of your personnel, board of directors and trustees, lists of your meetings, and then
about that.
Yep.
The list of meetings. How much detail do you want on that? Do you just want dates? Do you want agenda items?
No, I mean, just a schedule. I mean, if you had it and you wanted to supply it, that's great, you know, but you don't have to, like, we just want to know that you're meeting.
Okay.
And then this is a really big thing, support materials. So you have an opportunity to supply 5 support materials. So videos are great. We just ask that they not be like 10 minutes long, like, you know, give us a snippet, like a couple minutes. Or if it is a long video, you know, say, please fast forward to like the 5th minute or something like that. But we would prefer it that you gave us like just a video. Pictures, flyers, audio files, newspaper clippings, whatever it may be that helps us, that'll help the peer review panel evaluate your application. So these are important. And then ADA, which it's not here, which I apologize for. Oh, here it is. It is available. I'm sorry, Anna. See, it says ADA chart available here. And I'm clicked on it and it's taking us to the ADA chart. There you go. So this is the chart. So it does come up, but I will make it more prominent. And I also will put a link on it, a link there to, I will put the link in the actual, on our website in addition, just in case you have trouble. I'll make this bigger. And then, as I said, the last thing is this question. We appreciate your feedback. Any detailed thoughts you'd like to share regarding the application portal and application process would be appreciated. And then the last thing you have to do is download the certification page, which you go here, and then you just you upload it here, and you submit your form. So pretty much it. Let me get back here. Nope. Where are we? Nope. Really, I'll get the hang of this thing once one of these years. How do I get back to you guys?
Gotta stop sharing at the top of your, I
Uh,
assume at the top of your screen.
I don't think- oh, stop share. Sorry about that, folks. I'm a little tired. Anyway, that's pretty much the application. I hope it was helpful. I'm happy to answer any questions that I can answer. And if I don't know the answer, I will.
Yes,
I will-
Joe, I have a question.
Hi,
Hello.
Olga.
Hello. I know that for years and years and years, we're talking about JCTC going to the state, and we finally have our audit, and
Yeah,
the state didn't, as you know, was not opening the new application. Hopefully they will in 2023. How does it affect us, and
yeah,
should we continue submitting
yeah.
to the county?
Good question. So, yes, you can. You can apply for both. The way it works is the state will subtract. They'll subtract the amount that you receive from us from your overall amount. So, those of you who don't know, there's a similar program in the state. We kind of encourage our longtime grantees to, because it's more money involved from the state. So we've had a good string of people who have received funding from us for, for several years, numerous years, and then they decide to go to the state, to the State Council on the Arts for funding, and so you can do that, and then you can certainly apply from us. You'll receive funds, no prejudice, for doing that, and then the state will subtract the amount that you got from us from your total award. So absolutely, you can apply.
Thank you, Joe. And also, I wanted to meet Betsy. She will be our
Hey, Betsy.
development associate, so she's gonna be working with you on the grant.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, Joe.
Hey,
Thank
great
you
to
so
meet you.
much for everything. It's a pleasure working with you for over all these years. So
It's been a while.
yeah,
Pretty crazy.
yeah.
Time
Thank
flies.
you.
This is one of the doing this webinar is like one of the things like I kind of mark time by it. It's like it's another year when we're sitting down and doing this. So I appreciate your guys' attentiveness and all your great questions. Like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to email me, give me a call, whatever, and I'm happy to answer. I will fix these glitches. I apologize. I don't know what the deal is, but they will be fixed by tomorrow morning. And I thank you all for coming. David, nice to meet you.
Thank you.
And Alfredo and Gerald. And like I said, any questions, feel free to give me a holler. Thank you so much for your time. And everybody keep doing the great work. You guys, you make it worthwhile. This is what we do. And I'll be lying if I said it wasn't a lot of work, but I know it's a lot of work for you too. So keep it up and keep doing what you do. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you,
Bye,
guys. Have a great
everyone.
night.
So much.
Nice to see everyone on the
Take
call.
care. Hey, take care, everybody. Have a good night.
See you
good night.
soon.
Bye-bye. Hope to see you for the ADA next week. Bye-bye.